Hey, can you hear me? I always want to check out my earbuds or whatever these things are called. I know they work, but I'm old school, so y'all just put a little thumbs up down in the bottom if you can hear me. Okay, yeah, I guess that means you can hear me. Hey, Grant, Aka, how you doing? Good, good, good. Kimbo's here, checking in from Chattanooga, excuse me. Hey, Amy, I see you're here. I'm going to pull you in probably about 5 minutes after, okay? Pull you in about 5 minutes after. I'm going to do a little housekeeping first, then I'll grab you. Okay? Awesome. Yay, folks can hear me. How's everybody doing? If you're in Atlanta, it's a kind of gloomy day, but sometimes those are needed. It was just one of those kind of gloomy and didn't ever really storm really too much, but kind of funky day. Got a lot of stuff done on a day like this. I'm still working from home, and I don't know, they're going to have a hard time pulling me back into an office once it's time to do that, because I get so much done on my personal side of things in my personal life. Hey, third hour. I get so much done, and it's going to be tough for them to make a good case for me to come back. I mean, I can't say no. I don't run the place. So y'all know I work a full-time job, right? I'm a project manager. I'm a city planner. And so that's a Monday through Thursday thing. On Fridays is my beer day. That's when I get to do beer stuff. And on those days, I don't have to ask anybody about coming back to an office. So anyway, thank you for joining me for Beer, Biz, and BS. This is the 5th episode. We are nearing the end of this little first season of my series, and it has been so much fun. I'm excited about tonight because I am chatting with one of my gal pals. Up until now, all of my episodes have been with people who are not in the beer community, and I definitely wanted to cast a wide net and talk to lots of people from different backgrounds, because I know that what's happening with COVID and with the pandemic, it's not industry specific. It kind of spans the gamut. So I've been talking with people from all around. And tonight I'm finally talking to somebody from the beer industry. And it's my friend Amy Mycoskie. I met Amy a year ago at a Craft Women Connect meetup. Craft Women Connect is a group that me and a couple of other ladies here in Atlanta started. I'm Excited to Feast, Beers a Go-Go, and the Craft Beer Connoisseur, who is our guest next week. We started Craft Women Connect as a way to create a space where ladies felt comfortable learning about craft beer. There are lots of groups that already exist that do that, but I think one of the things that we noticed is that they weren't super diverse. And so Craft Women Connect is a group that wants everyone to feel welcome, and we're really proud of the members that we have. We have members from all over the place, all different backgrounds, and also from women who have different educational or experience levels with beer. And that's kind of what we wanted to do, is make sure we have folks who are new, all the way up to people like Amy, who we'll talk to in a minute, who's opening a brewery. So I met her a year ago. We were at Tucker Brewing at a Craft Women Connect meetup. We sat next to each other and just started chatting, and found out very quickly that we had so much in common, because we were both opening craft beer businesses. Amy is launching Round Trip Brewing with her husband, and I was opening the Atlanta Brew Boutique at that time, and we were both having a time with working with the city of Atlanta and the building codes, and just kind of understanding the process. And it was really helpful to have someone who I could kind of vent to. And over the last year, we've kept in touch by Instagram. We've kept in touch by DM. We've kept in touch all kinds of different ways. And so I'm just so happy to have her here, because she and her husband found a way to keep their project rolling through some very difficult times. with their lender, with just this whole process. And so we'll talk through all of that. If you are interested in any way, shape, or form in opening a brewery, this will be the person, the conversation you want to listen to. And I have some deep questions as well, just about life in general. She's a mom, a wife, and is balancing all this stuff while opening a brewery. So I'm going to go into the room and invite Amy in. To Amy, and so she'll hop on in a second. In the meantime, y'all let me know what you're sipping on tonight. Amy and I will be having beers, and there she is. Look at her. She dressed all up for us. She looks so cute, Amy.
Your lipstick inspired me.
Really? Well,
yes.
I only do it once a week for this thing here. I don't I never wear anything. I am a nude chapstick, very bland, basic girl. But you look so beautiful. Thank you for being here.
Thanks. Am I echoing?
No, you sound good.
Okay.
That's the thing. Like, I have no idea how I sound in these, but so I always ask starting off, but you're not echoing to me.
All right.
Y'all, if y'all have a problem hearing Amy, let us know in the comments and we'll try to fix it. But I think we can hear you pretty well. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Happy Wednesday. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. So we're going to start off. I was just, as I was inviting you into the room, letting folks know how I met you and how we know each other. But we're going to first open up a beer, and then we'll get into our conversation. Is that
Sounds
okay
great.
with you?
Yes.
Awesome. So Amy and I are drinking the same beer tonight. Let me grab mine from my little cooler. Yeah, there you go. Oh, look, it matches our lipsticks.
Oh, it does.
Look at that.
I totally planned it.
Me too. Not at all. I forgot it was a red label. Yeah, so this is, have you ever had an IPL before?
I'm sure I have.
I'm sure you have.
But
right.
I don't know.
It's not a popular style. So this is Triboulet by Arches Brewing. My friend Tamika says that the sound quality is great, so we don't have to worry about that. And it's an India Pale Lager. I'm going to put this closer so y'all can see the can art.
It smells good.
It's an interesting style. You don't really hear of India Pale Lagers too much. So the deal with India Pale Lagers is they brew them with a lager yeast, and for a longer period of time and at a colder temperature. But it still has the hoppiness, I guess, to it. I've not tried it. It's my first time trying it, and I guess it'll have the hoppiness to it. It has a color. It looks like a India Pale Ale. But shall we taste? Cheers!
Sure. Cheers!
Thank you for being here again, everyone else. Cheers!
It's good. It has a lot of IPA taste.
Yeah, I don't really get the L part.
Well, I think it's just the yeast they use. Lagers at a lower temperature or ferments at a lower temperature.
Right. I was expecting a little more maltiness though, because some lagers have that.
Yeah.
I thought maybe they would add more of a maltiness with their grains, but it's really, really tasty and
it is good.
Yummy. So I always like to talk about glassware real quick when I'm talking about beers. India Pale Lagers, I would just drink it like I would a regular lager and probably like a nonic pint. So the glass, it has the bump outs, or you could do one of those flutes. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that I am doing a weekly sort of glassware class. And I just talked about nonic pints and kind of how they are kind of like just a go-to regular glass. Not too many features, not too fancy, but they're kind of like a catch-all. So I feel like if you don't know what glass to use, it's a safe one to use. I always like to use a glass. And then I'm almost always using an inappropriate glass just because I like to use my logo glass. I don't care what you're drinking.
Yeah. I'm using yours too.
Yeah, thank you. So cheers, y'all. If you're drinking a beer or whatever you're drinking down in the comments, let us know. I just want to hop on in. Again, thank you again for being here. I know that it's a busy time for you. You're a mom. You're a co-owner of a brewery. I heard some ruckus in the background a few seconds ago. So you're like in an active, it wasn't too bad, in an active construction site there at the brewery, y'all.
They're installing coolers right now.
Oh my gosh, really? So coolers meaning the walk-ins, the big...
behind me where those holes are will be where our taps are. And so they're installing the cooler on the other side of the wall.
On the other side of the wall. So it's like a big old walk-in refrigerator.
Yes.
Huge,
This was quieter than my house, though.
An active construction site is quieter than your house.
Says something. Yeah.
Just to give us a little insight into Amy's world every day,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about home before we roll into our questions. Tell us about who you are and what home is like these days, and just give us a little rundown.
We Craig's my husband. We moved to Atlanta 2.5 years ago.
Wow, that's it.
Georgia, yeah. But we moved here with the purpose of opening the brewery, and we're, still not open. So anyway, that's why we're here. I grew up in Georgia in Macon, and Craig and I met at the University of Georgia, and then we moved to Denver after that, where he immediately started working in beer while I finished grad school. And then we were in Texas for a long time. In Denver, Craig brewed at Wynkoop Brewing Company, and then at another place called Bull and Bush. And then we moved to Fort Worth, where his family was, to be a little bit closer to somebody. So we were at least in the same state as somebody. And he brewed at Rar & Sons for 6 years. And then we moved to Austin to help open Celis Brewery there.
Nice.
And then just decided it was time to do our own thing. So we moved here. We have a 6-year-old. She is in APS, and so they're all virtual until at least January, maybe longer.
Taylor, what's your daughter's name?
Taylor,
yeah.
So
she's a high energy kiddo too. I was checking that out when I went to see you. What was that? A few days ago, I came by, and I was like, "Ooh, girl, you Ooh, girl, Amy, good for you."
She's great. She's energetic and assertive, and all of these things that
little boss baby.
Really glad for when she's like a teenager.
A little boss baby. She's
maybe
high energy. Yeah, you will. It's fine. High energy, and it's just the three of y'all, right? You don't have another baby, so and that's enough. Plus, the brewery is like a baby. I bet it feels like a child.
It's been such a project. I've been around beer always, like for the last 15 years, but I used to work for school districts. I was a school psychologist for a long time. And then, so this is my first time working in the beer world. And it feels like, I kind of knew the beer side of things, but the opening a business side of things has been something else.
We're going to get into the details of that. Craig was reminding you that you have dog baby. Do not forget the dog baby.
I have a dog, Emily.
Okay.
Anyway. She's sort of extra too. We just have a lot at our house.
Yeah, sounds like a par for the course. So you've been working on opening Round Trip Brewery for 3 years, right? So you moved here 2 years ago. You've been working on it for 3 years. Take us back to the moment when y'all decided to open a brewery. So Craig has all this experience. He's opened how many breweries in his past?
Well, he's worked at 4.
He's worked at 4 breweries.
At 4, and he helped open Celis. We didn't have any kind of ownership or whatever, but they needed somebody to come help redevelop some of they have a bunch of recipes that are sort of historic, and they needed somebody to come. They have a super interesting story, but so they hired Craig to come down and help them recreate some of those recipes, and then do
let's talk about that real quick, because that's really neat. So a lot of folks on right now know this, but in case the people who join us later may not know, that brewing is an ancient ritual. It is an ancient art and ancient craft. It goes back, I think one of the first recipes ever found was for a recipe for beer found on a little clay tap. Like, it is one of the oldest drinks in the world, and it was first developed as a way to clean water and to be nutrient rich and to be sort of like what we would call like a smoothie today. But it was like a food that you could drink. And so a lot of these recipes, I guess, folks have kept and are rebrewing and are trying to be more traditional in their brewing practices. And I know that's something that y'all pride yourselves on. So Craig was brought on to that brewery to kind of rework those and make them more modernized, or tell us about what that really means.
The
that
ones
sounds really interesting.
the recipes he worked on were not that ancient, but they were, Pierre Celis opened the first craft brewery in Texas, I think, a long time ago. I want to say it was maybe not that long ago.
Like the 80s?
Yeah, or early 90s.
That's a long time ago now. You know, that's like 30 years.
Yeah, American craft beer. It was
that's a while
some of
for
the
us.
earlier, yeah. And so he had come from Belgium and had created the original recipe for Hoegaarden. Craig's
he is
typing
on
all
it.
this
Craig
in
is
the
like
chat.
right on it, guys.
Yeah. So anyway, Pierre Celis had created the original Hoegaarden and came here and started his own brewery.
Wow.
Yeah. And
everyone knows Hoegaarden. Everyone knows Hoegaarden. Yeah.
Everyone's had that.
That's
it's a Belgian wit. And so they were bought out, I think by Miller or somebody. And then it took a really long time for Pierre's daughter, Christine, to get the name back. She spent years and years and years buying her own name back to restart this brewery.
Those big breweries are something else. I won't talk trash, but
I think it had been sold off a few times at that point, and it just, it was sort of messy. So they were reopening in Austin, and they had this top of the line brew house and just really great setup there. And it seemed like an exciting thing to go and help them get started again. So we went down there, and Craig helped them get up and running.
That's awesome.
Then we had been in Austin for 6 months, had bought a house there. I was working for a school district, this whole thing, and just decided that Austin wasn't really for us.
Was not the move. Yeah.
We were away from family again, and the just commute was bad. And there just wasn't enough to keep us there. And so I sold our house, sort of didn't really tell Craig what I was doing. Yeah, I called an agent, and she was like, "Oh, I have somebody that wants to buy." And I was like, "Great, this will work out." So we finished out the school year there, and sold our house and moved here. My parents are saints. They let us stay with them for almost a year while we found the brewery building, because I wasn't going to get into that traffic situation again.
There you go.
We found the brewery, and then I found a school that I liked, and then we found a house, and it's all within a mile of here, and we don't really leave our bubble.
Perfect.
So that's kind of how we ended up back in Atlanta to do that. We had some friends from college here in Atlanta that wanted to help us get open, and so we took them up on it. Yeah. Awesome.
So fast forward to say, so you found the brewery a year ago, well, more than a year ago. You found that. You said 2 years ago you found the space, and you've been just kind of working ever since. Take us to the beginning of this year. Take us to January through March. What was happening in the space? How were things progressing?
That was maybe so we started construction in November of last
2019.
year. Okay. And things were moving in January. We had some of the strangest hiccups. The building that we're in was always liquid processing, and so it is sort of built for what we're doing, but we needed sloped floors, and so started doing that, and realized that the concrete was 5 feet deep. So getting 5 feet of concrete out of the floor to re-pour them sloped was something else. And then we had cut out part of the floor to make space for tall tanks to eventually go. So we had done that and cut windows in the front of the building. And then in March, when COVID started, we, I would say February, at the end of February, we thought that we were about to close on an SBA loan. And we had kind of all the stuff together, and we're working out the last few details. And then when, the week all the PPP stuff came out, our bank called and they said, "Oh, we're only going to do PPP now. We're not doing any traditional SBA loans. And so they dropped our loan. Well, we had signed this really expensive construction contract.
You were moving.
Yeah, that we were going to have this loan coming in, and then we didn't. And it was in the middle of everything, awful that was happening. And so we've called probably 70 banks and went through the whole thing. And, at that point, we had a lot invested, not just personally, but we had some people who are friends that were investors. And it just felt like, I can't let this not happen.
Right. You were indebted. You were indebted to people. And then you put it out there into the universe, into the atmosphere that I'm opening this brewery. So it's like, you got to keep moving.
Yeah.
What did they say? The cart has left the
horse has left the barn. The cart, I don't know.
It's on and popping. It means it's on and popping already.
Right. We were moving. And so we paused. We spent through all the rest of the money we had on our construction contract and still weren't anywhere close to being done. And then we paused everything for a couple months while we figured out a new loan. We found a bank who does a lot of brewery loans and, kind of believed in what we were doing, and they agreed to give us the rest of our loan. That sounds so simple to say that, but it was like the most awful process.
Let's back up, because if you've never applied for an SBA loan, it's like every time buying a house. They ask you for everything. They ask you for all of, like, the amount of documentation that you need to even talk to a bank about a loan is tremendous. It's and ridiculous. And so calling 70 banks, applying to 30 loans, it's not just like, putting your number into some kind of computer and it magically. No, it is a very annoying, if I can be quite frank, and painstaking process. And the fact that y'all went through that many and that many denials.
Yeah, well, a lot of them just told us right off, hey,
flat out, like,
we don't know what's happening with COVID. Right. There were a lot of rumors among banks at that time about what they were going to be reimbursed for. And so there was a lot of, they didn't even know what was going on a lot of the time. So it was tricky for a while. But we eventually worked it out, and they have been amazing, the bank that we did find. And so
awesome. What bank is that, in case people out here are looking for a good bank to work with?
Aquesta. Yeah, really. Aquesta Bank. They are based in North Carolina, but they do brewery projects, and we're ready to take it on. I think they kind of they saw the progress that we had made, and with Craig's experience and history, it just was something that they were willing to do.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Craig says that y'all did have some major help from a broker at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Would highly recommend to someone looking for an SBA loan to look at a broker. Right. Yeah, I agree.
We found there was a woman who kind of gave us some recommendations for a bunch of banks to talk to right at the end. And she was the one who found who would work for us.
Because they can kind of narrow the field down. They know who's done this kind of work before. And in this industry, I think it is very important to find someone who's done something a little more akin to what you're trying to do, a little more specific.
Yeah,
I think as a bank. Yeah.
You'll know this, but opening a brewery is expensive, and they're not returns on it right away. And it's one of those things where it can be really risky because the investment is so much to start.
It is.
And such a long process. Like we, are just now finished with construction there. Mostly. And then, but we still don't know when we're going to be able to open, just because of all the licenses and that kind of stuff. So,
So take us through the timeline then. So you're about how far from being done with construction of the space? Let me tell y'all real quickly, I came and had a little sneak peek of the space. Thank you for letting me come do that this past weekend. And it's so nice. It's big. It's really big. So what an undertaking that is. It looks like you had a lot of the bar spaces already done.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the tile and some of the lighting is up. The brewery is in
Yeah.
place. Yeah, that is
Mm-hmm.
the most, I think, the eye-catching part of
Yeah.
y'all's space. And I love the windows, so you can see into the brewing space. But what else is left before you guys are ready? Minus all the permitting and such, because that's a whole nother hurdle.
Waiting on a
But
gas
what
meter.
else? Okay, a gas
That's
meter.
that's a stupid thing. We didn't know we didn't have one. Our building. This is
How do you not know that you don't have a gas meter? Tell me about
yeah,
that.
I don't know. Basically, our building was joined with the one next door to us before we took this part of it over, and
Yeah.
and they moved in a long time ago, and sort of claimed all the utilities. So, like, we didn't have a water
Oh,
meter when we started, or a gas meter, or electricity. Like, our transformer was wrong, and so that had to get replaced. So it's been a long process. But right
yeah.
now, once we get our gas meter, we can connect the
I got you. Okay. I had a
okay.
little, was it frozen on your end too?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. It was
Maybe.
frozen on my end for a little bit. Once you get the gas meter, you're good,
We
basically.
think, yeah,
You
we think
think
so.
so far.
Our the site foreman is here right now. He's doing his like last little punch list, making note of all the paint scratches and just little stuff. But
Oh, of course. Yeah.
yeah, so we're really close, and hoping in the next week or two that'll be here. But it's one of those things, like, I can't control it. I just have to wait.
No, that is like the theme of 2020, I think. You can't control it and you just
No.
gotta wait. Like you have really little control over
Yeah.
so many things. So just real briefly, if folks were interested in opening a brewery, I was out with a friend at a soft launch of a brewery. My friend, she loves craft. We were at Elsewhere Brewing in
Mm-hmm.
Grant Park at that little soft launch, and we were in
Yeah.
there and just, I don't know if I had too much to drink or whatever, but I was like, ooh, this is so nice. I think I may consider opening a brewery. But I know that's not true. Um, but
You
if
never know.
I don't know, who knows? But if folks were interested in opening a brewery, what are some of the first steps that people that you would recommend, especially with your hindsight and your knowledge now of all the things, if you
Yeah.
could write a manual, what would be step one of how to open a brewery?
I mean, I would think, know that it's way more expensive than you think going
Mm-hmm.
in. And I don't know, I think I would talk to people and find out, people who are brewing, what they like about it, and
Mm-hmm.
what they wish they had done differently, and that kind of thing, because it
Mm-hmm.
is a really specific skill set.
Mm-hmm.
Craig handles all of the brewing and technical stuff. That is not anything that I
Yeah.
am really that interested in, to be honest. I'm
And you
happy
have
to,
to know that. You have to know that.
yeah, I'm happy
Yeah.
to talk about it, and I like, once the product is finished. But for him, it's just really a creative outlet, and that in this, science kind of creativity,
Yeah.
he enjoys it. So I would say, think about those parts of it.
Yeah.
A lot of people will hire somebody to brew and do that stuff. So if you really are interested in the hospitality side of things, it's a good thing to do, but it's expensive and it takes forever.
Yeah, especially if you're building your own space. And I feel like there's like a sort of like a fantasy or a romanticism that kind of accompanies opening a brewery, especially if you're a beer geek, you think, oh man, how nice it would be to open a brewery and it would be just so fun. But it is
Yeah.
a 24-hour job. Once
Yeah.
you guys open, Craig, he'll be the head brewer, correct?
Yeah.
So he'll be basically living, will he have a
Here.
room at the brewery? Is there a bed? What's
I
happening?
do
He
have
needs
a
a
couch
futon or
upstairs.
something, right? Yeah.
I know. Probably so. There's a space for a shower here, and anyway.
So smart. Are
We
you going to
used to
do that?
joke. I don't know. We used to joke
That's not a
because
bad idea, Amy.
I know. Well, when we visited Germany, if you go out to like some of the smaller towns, they all have their own brewery, and a lot of them, the brewer and his family would live upstairs. Like, I mean, there
Yeah.
was like a whole dining room in their house and everything upstairs. I think that's a little more iffy legally here.
Or just personally, like, I mean, not technically living at the brewery, but kind of, but not for real.
Yeah, but he'll be here a lot. And I think a lot of people think about the breweries that have been around for a long time now and that they started really kind of scrappy almost, like people that just really loved beer and sort of figured it out along the way. And I just don't think that the brewery landscape is like that anymore. I think it's, you really have to know kind of what you're getting into. I don't know. If you have good recipes, that's a start. But like now, great beer is just sort of the baseline. You really have to do a lot more than that.
Speaking of recipes, what will be, tell us about sort of the plan for your initial brews. What styles are you guys doing? What's your your bailiwick for your for Round Trip Brewing?
Craig, we'll do mostly German beers, but sort of kind of push the boundaries or get a little bit creative with those.
Nice.
Is the plan. So
what would some of those styles be for?
Like, I know one of the first ones we're thinking about doing is a dunkel.
Love a dunkel.
Me too. I'm really a dark beer fan.
I love a dunkel. I love dark beers. Yeah, I love Bocks. I love Doppelbock. Y'all gonna do a Doppelbock?
I'm sure we will.
Craig, can you do a Doppelbock for your girl? I love.
Craig's telling me that I brought a beer. I did.
He said you brought one.
I know. We it's a French oak aged Oktoberfest. Okay. We only have a crowler machine right now, so I don't have any normal size packaging.
Start over. A French
oak aged Oktoberfest.
Okay, let's break all that down. So an Oktoberfest beer is like a Marzen, a lager. Yes. And French oak age. What does that mean?
He aged it on French oak.
That sounds very fancy, Doc.
Doesn't it?
Very fancy. Yes, it does.
I know. Well, it's a great beer. So you get some of the kind of flavors from the wood, the oak, and I don't know. I'm not drinking it right now, so I'm having a hard time getting
and all that stuff. So when you age something on oak, and if you don't know, Craig, chime in the comments.
He'll tell me.
Do you literally use, like, I guess it's in the fermenters or in the tanks, and you use medium toast sticks in lagering?
So that's what he did. These beers that we have right now, we can't.
He said, "Open that bad boy up, girl."
I will. I was gonna do one thing at a time.
So do you use actual wood, like planks, or these aren't barrels, or is it barrel aged?
Well,
like, what does that mean?
At our house, because he made this beer at our house, since we can't use
this
system yet.
This is home brewing.
So he did use they're like sticks, or sometimes they're spirals.
Yes, I've seen the spirals because you get more surface area.
Yeah, and you just put those in. But the ones that he's made at breweries in the past, they do barrel age them. Okay. They put them in actual
That's
barrels.
how you will eventually do it. My friend Sandy Cap wants to see it, and so does Connie Smalls. He says, "Open the beer."
Okay.
Open the beer. They just want to see the color and want to just kind of bask into it with you. Ooh, that sounds so good. So y'all have a crowler machine. Yeah. So y'all only have big ass beers right now. So sad I'm not there to drink that one with you. Look at that.
I know. I wish we had.
Look at how golden that is. Oh my gosh. Ooh. You know what? I left my glass there. I'm going to come back because you were giving me a glass and I left it on the bar. I walked right out without it. So I'll come by and we'll have a beer together. So Craig is clarifying, says you basically get the same wood you would make out of barrels and toast them like you would the inside of the barrels, right? Because they do char those barrels and toast them and put them in the tank for about 4 weeks to age. I love this. So we're a part of a group, Amy and I, called Craft Women Connect, as I told y'all earlier. We just get together and drink beer together and learn about it. I cannot wait till y'all open so we can come and do a meetup there at Round Trip and just learn some of this stuff from you and Craig and just kind of get an inside scoop on how these awesome beers are made.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Is this expensive? Is the French, it sounds like that would be, maybe I'm just being very stereotypical, but it sounds like that would be an expensive process. Can you reuse those wood spirals?
I don't think they can be
I
reused,
don't
but I
think
think
so.
probably in the like overall cost of things, I think other probably ingredients are more costly, like for what you get out of them right now. Like I think hops are probably overall more expensive, but I don't.
They are.
Craig will probably correct me. So.
But with the wood thing, so like eventually you'll have barrels and you'll buy barrels from different folks, and I think those can be reused a couple times. I think that's how that is. I
think it
know.
depends on what you're trying to
Depends on
get
what
out
you're
of it.
trying to get out of it, right? Yeah, because
like they'll do some that are aged in wine barrels, and they're really trying to get some of the wine flavor out of them. And so I think those, I don't think they reuse those.
Once that dissipates, it's useless. Yeah.
So anyway, but it's kind of fun. So mostly German styles.
Yes.
What else? He wants to do a Pilsner. I should have written down. We just sort of planned out the first few.
He'll tell us down there. He is very active in this chat, and I appreciate it. He says they're one and done. You could, but you shouldn't, as far as he's concerned. Reuse the spirals in the sticks. Yeah, the more you use them, the less flavor you get. He said you can use for sours a bunch of times because they are neutral flavor. You just want the funk. Got it.
So like the bacteria that's in there.
That makes sense. Cast Iron Catering is asking, what about bourbon barrels, y'all?
Craig has made some really good bourbon barrel aged beers.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite aging techniques. Really.
I don't know if everybody that is watching is in Georgia, but if you're not and you're in Texas or can get Texas beers, Rar & Sons Brewery there makes a bourbon barrel aged beer that is just phenomenal. I think it's called Winter Warmer, and it only comes out, it will be out this winter. But
I love that. I just feel it pulls like the right amount of sugar from those barrels, and then the right amount of like heat. You get a little heat from those bourbon barrel aged beers, and this time of year, once it starts getting cold, I think they're perfect. Perfect. Yep. Craig says he's already talking. He's talking with his friends at Firestone and Robertson in Fort Worth about doing a collab with their barrels. They are
a distiller. So.
A distiller. Yeah. Tiny Small says he'll be in Texas next year. Craig, if you have some recommendations for where he should go. Tiny, where in Texas are you going? Let us know so Craig can give you some recos. I think they know the place. Amy, I want to switch gears real quickly, and I'm going to make you put on your psychologist hat.
Okay.
And I'm just wondering, I've been talking with some of my friends about this. I don't have children, but I'm just wondering about this pandemic, right? It's a lot happening. It's a lot to take in all at once. It was kind of very much a surprise to us. We're dealing with isolation. We're dealing with, the change in our social schedules. The babies don't have their regular social outlet of school. Yeah. They don't have time away from parents. They don't have, a lot of things are very different. And I'm just wondering, like, what do you think what can we expect some of the outcomes to be, years down the line from this time? What do you think, how could we be impacted by this really uncertain time?
I kind of feel like kids are learning hopefully some lessons in resilience right now. I think they take cues from the adults that are around them. And so if we can sort of, have a positive attitude and help them understand that some of our actions right now are really for the good of our community, that I think kids get that. And I think if we talk about missing out on stuff and really spend a lot of time being upset about things, that they pick up on that too. I mean, I think it's a big enough change for them anyway. But so I am hoping that kids sort of maybe going forward aren't as surprised by things like this as a lot of us are. Like we, have never kind of had this experience before. True. But they're, they're getting to go through it when they don't have, they kind of just get to follow the grown-ups lead right now. So I'm hoping that I know a lot of kids who either don't have stable home lives or have some, have other issues that complicate this, that it's hard on them. And I'm hoping that people are kind of finding ways to support. Like I know that a lot of like counseling has gone virtual, and in schools that are in session, I still have a lot of friends that are counselors or, have jobs in schools, and they're doing a lot to support kids. So I hope that kids sort of see how we can come together in something like this.
So there may be an opportunity for parents who, perhaps they see their children maybe struggling with this time to reach out to the school and have the school counselor or maybe some local free resources to kind of connect with their home.
And I think they want to help. And really, as long as kids are enrolled in school, schools are providing services, even if it's remote right now. So those resources are there. It's just a matter of, it's a little more effort to find them right now, I think.
I read this. I was reading an article from Psychiatry and Behavioral Health Learning Network, a website, and one of the quotes says that the social isolation during quarantine has actually been looked at as being most problematic for long-term outcomes across adults and children and adolescents. I think it's hit children most significantly because kids play in groups, and during this time, kids really haven't been able to hang out in groups and to go on playgrounds.
Yeah, so it's tricky. I mean, we live in a neighborhood where most of the families are working from home, and some kids in Taylor's grade are in the neighborhood, and we feel okay about playing outside. And luckily in Georgia we have the weather that's been okay so far.
It has. So it really has been.
There are 2 or 3 kids that we see once or twice a week, so it's not completely isolated, but I do know a lot of people don't really have that situation or that option. So it is hard. I mean, and it's sad. You want kids to have all these experiences.
Right.
But I think if we can just realize that hopefully this is not forever.
Absolutely. It is temporary.
If we can, have sort of an attitude that we're going to get through it, and things are going to, we'll get to do the things we want to do again one day.
Yeah. And you mentioned resiliency. I think this time may show us, and maybe later down the line in retrospect, we'll look back and see a lot of the things that, showed us how strong we were, and showed us how we stood up to challenges, and how we were able to brave some very weird waters,
Yes.
So maybe we'll learn about how strong we are as
I know. Folks. I feel like we have been a little spoiled not ever having to do stuff like this before. Where
never in our lifetime. You're right.
I mean, other generations have had to live through all of these hard things, and it's our turn. So.
Yeah. Especially with something that is sort of health and sort of, related to like the built environment. What do you do to stay positive and motivated? What's your sort of daily thing? Because I know you must have some kind of routine or something that you fall back on to stay.
I wish I was somebody that wanted to get up, or that got up early and did things.
Girl,
just not.
Okay. That's all right.
My dog and I run. We'll go a couple miles a couple times a week, and so just trying to get outside and some kind of exercise is big. I think it's real easy to just sit on our computers all day and not do things like that.
It's so easy to do that. It's easy to kind of get caught in that little cycle of not doing anything. Yeah.
And then just talking to people. I don't have a lot of like super close friends in Atlanta because we just moved here. It hadn't been that long before the pandemic. No. It was like not even a whole school year that we were in our neighborhood before.
And you make a good point, because we've been in a pandemic for 7 months now. So where, you would have been able to be social and meet people, you haven't really been able to do that because
I miss the Craft Women Connect group.
I know, I miss it too. We were talking about maybe doing something at the end of this year. That was before we saw that the numbers are doing weird things again. So we're
even
trying
like
to
virtual meetups have been fun and that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. We are just trying to find something to do. My friend Denise joined. She said she got wrapped up with the littles and just got the chance to join.
I know the feeling.
You have to go back and watch this in its entirety. She has lots of littles. She has two littles, and then a middle, and then a biggie. But she has two little, so I know she was really, really busy. But
Yeah.
yeah, just go back and catch us on YouTube, Denise. But yeah, so I love one of the things that you said in your so I sent out this survey to folks who are going to be on the show,
I
and
forgot what I wrote in there.
you
So I
wrote
hope
some awesome stuff. But one of the things that you said was, and I asked how you stay positive and motivated. You said you breathe and exercise.
Mm-hmm.
You try to get enough sleep, which, I know how that goes.
Yeah.
You try to find some time for play each day. And one of the things that has really kept you motivated is that the fact that y'all don't have a plan B. Like the brewery is plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so on through Z. So
Yeah.
yeah, that'll keep a fire lit under your butt too, right? Just
Yeah, I mean, on the days that I am learning how to have health insurance for employees and how to, I don't get a gas meter. Who even knows how to do
who
that?
knows how to do
And like,
that?
just all these things, phone calls, every phone call I make, I feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. It's motivating to know that like, there are people who are counting on this to get open, and
Yeah.
we don't have another option right now.
Right.
So
This is
we'll
the
do
plan.
it. Yeah.
Yes, and you are. You will do it. I have no doubt, because it's being
Yeah.
done. You have all the things you need now. Just a few little hurdles. You mentioned earlier that you got to go through the permitting,
Mm-hmm.
and the liquor. Wait, is this the permitting through the state that you got to go through? Y'all, just a FYI, it's so many permits you got to get when you're trying to open anything that has to do with alcohol in the
Yeah.
state of Georgia. It's like
Yeah.
a million jillion. You have to do it for the city, for the county, and for the state. And do
Mm-hmm.
y'all have to also do some kind of federal filing because
Yeah.
yeah.
And we did the federal one
Okay.
last year. I hope they're not paying attention to the fact that we're not open
They're
yet.
not on. They're not on here.
Soon,
Oh, you
we're
mean
coming
paying attention
soon.
in general, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so we did the federal one. We got all the way through the city process. We're just waiting on our certificate of occupancy, and then the mayor can sign off on it. And then there's a city business license that alcohol places can't get until you have an alcohol license. And
Very true.
Then
And the
there's
alcohol license,
one.
you go before a board to get that, and before the NPU to get okay to do so it's a whole thing with that, and then the state, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's months of just permitting stuff, and the paperwork for that is sort of unbelievable also. And so anyway, so we are pretty well into that process, and I'm hopeful that once we get our building signed off on, that we're looking at like, I don't know, 6 or 8 weeks before we can open, I hope. But we don't want to put anything out there because it's just,
I know,
who knows.
But I'll tell you, man, people are interested and watching. My friend Glenn Allen Girl says impressive perseverance.
Well,
Awesome.
you too. I mean, you've been through all of this.
Girl, yes. But people are watching and are paying attention. If y'all aren't following Round Trip Brewing, please do that now, because I'll say the beer community is so good at just supporting each other. So you could give us 1 week's notice and we're going to be there.
Yeah.
We're going to be there and toasting and drinking beer and just happy to be in your space. So.
And I hate to keep bringing it up, but
no,
I feel like I bring it
What's
up a lot. That was one of the things that has just been my favorite thing about Craft Women Connect, is that every time I have shown up, even when I was super new to the group, always the question is, what can we do to support you? And that just really was encouraging when it felt like this was never going to end. So,
well, good. I'm happy.
It's a really great group, and
awesome.
I just have been so thankful for it here in Atlanta.
Yeah, well, we can't wait to toast you in your space.
I know.
Yeah,
one day in person.
One day in person.
We do have. We have a 3,000 square foot tap room, a separate 3,000 square foot event space, and a 3,000 square foot outdoor space. So hopefully, once we do get open, we can figure out, we can have a safe way for people to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Plantscape Interior says, after all the permits, that's your mom. Hey, I can't wait to follow her. I was like, why am I not following Plantscape Interior? But I will be. Hey, Mom. She says, after all the permits, then you have to start brewing and you have to age the beer a while. So tell us, Yeah, so that's another thing you have to factor into all this, right? Is like the timeline for actually producing. Because once you get what sign off, can you actually start producing in the brewery, in the brew house?
It's questionable.
It's questionable.
We're going with our city license. Once we have that, we think that it's okay. We just won't be able to sell.
But you can produce, right?
Yeah. So that's our plan right now.
Yeah. Craig says the CO. Yeah. Once you have the CO, you can start at least producing, which
sure.
you get the CO first. You can get that very early. But
as soon as we get our gas stuff done.
Yeah, that is the thing. So tell us, I had a question about the brewing.
About how long or?
Well, about how long, and then, your actual brew house. How big is it? How much can you produce at one time? Tell
Craig's
us that.
about to correct me a lot.
It's okay. Get in there, Craig. Get your fingers ready.
It's a 10-barrel brew house. It's a 3-vessel right now, but we have the option to add a 4th.
Can you pan and show us? Craig says, show them.
Let's see. I'm going to have to do some walking. We're going to get real fun.
Yeah, so we're getting an insider's tour of the 15-barrel system, Craig says.
Oh, 15.
Add 5. 15-barrel system at the brew house.
Yeah, and then there's, we've got some 30-barrel tanks that we can store double batches in or ferment double batches in. Let's see here.
7-barrel fermenters for fun stuff. For the
small.
Craig, tell us what you mean by the fun stuff.
I can't turn my camera
What is the fun
around.
stuff, Craig? It's all good. No, that's perfect what you're doing.
Here we go. So
yes,
the brew house is covered in cardboard right now because we're getting a new roof and we didn't want the roofers to ruin everything. So it's hard to see right now, but there are some big tanks over there.
Yes.
And lots of room for more. And these are the 7 barrels for activities.
Angle it down just a little bit, Amy.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go. Wow, that's the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Yay.
So
it looks so nice in there. It looks so beautiful. I really love how high the ceilings are in that one area where you are, but then the flooring in that space. So you were telling me that up there is where you'll do the canning and storage.
Upstairs.
Yeah,
we have an upstairs. So really, all the raw ingredients come in from upstairs, and then they get brewed down here. And when we package, they'll get sent back upstairs for canning, and then we have dock doors upstairs too. So
and Craig, because of his experience in lots of brew houses, kind of remix that space and use some of his knowledge to make some of the systems work. Yeah, really smart. Work in a way that they may not work so efficiently in some other places.
Yeah, he kind of designed the brew house with ProBrew. He called them and told them what he wanted, and then they did it. So.
I cannot wait. So once the CO is in your hands, you can start brewing beer. We can come taste. You can't sell us any, but we can come and taste. Or like, what are you guys going to do? Tours? You're going to do like a soft launch? What's sort of the rollout? Because this is your thing, right? So Craig does the brewing, but you do all the other stuff, which really makes the brewery run. So tell us about sort of your plan to open.
We're hoping to do like a week or 2 of soft openings, and really depending on kind of what Atlanta's ordinances are at the time about COVID, it could be longer that we do soft openings. But I think we're going to just do a couple weeks of that. We'll invite out different groups to come out while some of our staff gets trained. Yeah. And then we'll open to the public. We're really shooting for December, but it could be longer. And
that would be awesome. December would be such a great holiday gift for everyone.
I know. Yeah. And we'll have like a big grand opening party probably in the spring.
Awesome.
Yeah.
My friend Sandy Cap asked earlier, do you need taste testers?
We might. Craig has a lot of recipes in mind that he wants to make. So I'm sure at some of our events he'll want some feedback, but he is not allowed to brew in our kitchen anymore. So.
Oh, he doesn't need to. He has a 30 barrel system. So
yeah, we gotta wait
kick him out that kitchen. Kick him out that kitchen. Craig wants you to show the tap room lights, and I would love for people to see those tap room lights. He says, you know so much about lights after this process, y'all. She has the most beautiful. I love the aesthetic there. You know, I love the colors. I love the lights, the fixtures. They're all so very neat, like really cool kind of mixture. And it looks like, so your colors are blue in the blue family. Yeah. But I love the blue and gold that you have there.
That's the bar. It's kind of messy. We've still got construction people here. But so we've got the bar, and then out in the tap room.
Yes.
We've got a big garage door that goes out to the beer garden and the parking lot. And that's all the lighting in here.
It's so pretty, though. It's really cool. I love it.
Yeah. And then we've got an event space, too, that we've got big barn doors. There they are. Big
Those barn doors are the biggest barn doors I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, they're like 12 feet by 6 feet each or something, 12 by 12 total.
How much they weigh. So, I wonder how much they weigh.
I don't know. I didn't like to hang them.
Nope. Yes. So I have a lot of people volunteering to taste test and to do whatever you would need. Folks think the space is really, really pretty. Y'all, this is just from her phone. So once you see it in person, it's really nice. I love the colors you've chosen. The tile is really pretty. I wish y'all could see under the bar. It's like this really pretty blue tile. And you hung it in a different orientation than you would expect to see that tile hung underneath the bar. So
there it is.
Look at that. I think it's so nice. Yeah, I love it. Yes.
If you want to know a secret about why it's hung that way, is because the floor isn't level, and it was easier to hang it on the short side.
On the short side, because you can stagger however you need to. Craig says, bathroom tour.
Oh, no, y'all, you don't have time for all this. You don't care. They are nice. They're really nice.
The bathrooms are we have 4 minutes, Amy. So while you walk to the bathroom, tell people how they can keep in touch with y'all and be a part of the opening festivities. So they can follow you on Instagram, I'm sure.
At Round Trip Beer. We're on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. Craig does the tweeting, and he's way more witty than I am. So it's pretty funny. But yeah, so anyway, here's the women's bathrooms. I don't know.
Nice.
They're big.
Were there any bathrooms there? This is all new construction.
They were singles, just for the guys that worked here in the factory. Yeah. And then the men's looks kind of the same. But anyway, we have
very nice.
Yeah. This is. Sorry, hold my camera like this is awful. We've also got private bathrooms for the event space, but at Round Trip Beer is how to find us, and we put all of that out there on our website, roundtripbrewing.com. You can sign up for our newsletter, and you get probably a little bit more information than just what's on Instagram that way. It's really infrequent, though.
No, it's
maybe
okay.
Like once every month or two.
The thing is, it will be the times when we need to find out what's happening, like when you're opening, is when we know you'll probably send a message out. Yeah. So if you sign up, go to their website, roundtripbrewing.com.
Mm-hmm.
You can sign up and subscribe, and you'll get news when news is available.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine. That's good. That's when it's most important anyway. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. We have 2 more minutes left. Any parting words for, if you could give some advice to someone about opening a brewery? You said you gave us one piece of advice, like talking to other people.
Yeah.
What would be one other critical thing you would tell folks about starting a brewery, launching their space, that they should think about or consider sort of before kind of stepping out there? Or maybe they've already stepped out there and need to think about some things retroactively.
I think it sounds silly, but it's lonely to be opening a business, and especially if it's not an industry that you've worked in a lot before, because I mean, just the number of different disciplines that I have to talk to in a day. And I don't understand the process for a lot of them. So you end up making these phone calls and not knowing what you're talking about a lot.
I understand.
And so I think it's like, you're just going to have to be persistent, and you're not alone. You're not the only person that it's hard for everybody.
Yeah. And I think that's good advice for whatever the industry is. And especially at this time where things may not always seem to be going our way, but persistence wins the day. So with that, we are right at 7. I'm surprised Instagram hasn't cut me off. I thought they were cutting folks off after an hour, but I'm sticking to my hour time frame. And Craig says you don't know how to start one until you do. And I think that goes for whatever you're doing. Just get out there and start. You have been so inspirational to me and to the ladies of Craft Women Connect again. Thank you for sharing. Thank you so much for sharing your story and being so honest and candid about the process. And I can't wait to come have a beer with y'all there.
Me too.
Like officially. So again, at Round Trip Brewing and
Round Trip Brewing, or at Round Trip Beer and roundtripbrewing.com.
At Round Trip Beer on social platforms and roundtripbrewing.com. All right. Yeah. Amy, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks,
I appreciate you. I hope you have a fantastic evening. Everyone, I will see y'all here next week for the final episode. I'll be talking to Chris Hughes. You know her well, Amy, the craft beer connoisseur.
She's
on
fabulous.
Thursday. She's fabulous. Thursday at 6:00. I'm sure we'll have a fantastic conversation about lots of things. So I hope to see y'all here next week. And I thank you again for tuning in. Y'all have a fantastic night and drink good beer. See ya. Bye.
Bye.